Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 54 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and where I get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Today is Saturday, February 27th, 2021, and we're almost done with February. 2 days left to go. Wow, day and a bit. So, got an overcast day today. We had some rain overnight, but it's settled down now. It's kind of threatening it might be a bit rainy in the next few days, but we shall see. Right now it's just kind of overcast and half decent temperatures. Vast majority of the snow we've had has melted. We've had a couple really nice warm days, relatively speaking, for February, but it's been in the 50 odd degrees Fahrenheit. So it's been quite warm. So the bulk of the snow that's left now is just in those areas where parking lots have been cleared and they've kind of like shoved these big piles of snow over there. So hopefully the worst of winter is over and hopefully we're on our way into spring now. But we shall see. There's still, March can be iffy. So what do we have to talk about today? First off, just drinking water. Nothing fancy, no tea. I'm teed out for the day already. Well, already it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's getting late in the day already, but I'm done with tea for the day. So I'll save any other ramblings till the end, and I'll get on and show you with what I've accomplished this past week. It's been a good, productive week. I'm really happy with my progress. So the first thing I have is the little mini mitten number 5, and this is the mitten garland advent calendar. It's a series of patterns by Kathy Lewinsky. I'm using 2.25 millimeter needles for these, and I am also using Knit Picks palette yarn. And I'm just using scrap yarn that I have, leftovers that I have in my stash. And this is a project that I'm working on as a knit along with a handful of friends of mine online. And I've opted to get ahead of schedule with these. And this mitten number 5, I should have actually only started knitting on it yesterday. So I should only have like this much done to show you today. But next week we'll have the beginning of Sock Madness, the qualifying round. So I wanted to get a little bit ahead of schedule with the Advent mittens. So this is almost 2 weeks worth of mitten knitting that I did up over the last several days, just to get a little bit ahead, so that once Sock Madness gets started, I don't have to worry about falling behind schedule. We'll leave that till later. I probably will start falling behind schedule a little bit later, but for now we'll try to stay on pace. So this is a cute little one. This one actually had 4 colors. At any given time, you're only working 1 or 2 colors per round. I have a few parts that are looking a little bit wonky, and I'm hoping that once I block it, that will settle down. You can see how my tension was really wonky in the thumb. You can see where I knit up to the point where the increases were done, and then I put it onto waste yarn to finish the thumb afterwards. And you can see that my tension is very different from one part to the next part. It's very loosey-goosey up here, and then it really tightens up down here. So I'm hoping the blocking will help that. And I also somehow made a mistake here. It was a single color row with only the, not a single, a double with the red and brown. But somehow, I don't know what I did there. But by the time I realized it, I had knit beyond that point and was down to about here. And I thought, it'll be on the hidden side of the mitten because they'll be hanging with the numbers showing. And I'm not that persnickety about it. I'm perfectly happy just to, the boo-boo can stay. I'm not going to fret. There we have it, mitten number 5 in my Advent mini mitten set, done. So I probably won't cast on, I doubt I'll start on mitten 6, and I probably won't start that for a while yet. I doubt it. I'll take a look at the pattern, but I want to keep working on another project before Sock Madness starts. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about the beginning of Sock Madness in a little bit today. So that's my one sort of finished object. My other finished object, sock number 2 in my masculine or unisex sock set. And I've completed the one sock, and again, I only knit unless they're mirror designs. If the 2 socks are going to be matching, I typically only knit one sock. Is that they're not going to be worn, they're just for display. So here is sock number 2, and this design, I've decided I will name this one Ronald, and this is named after my dad. So that's sock number 2, or design number 2 in the series that I'm working on. I still need to sit down and get going on writing up the patterns and getting them prepped and ready for testing. But for now, I have 2 designs are done up now. So I like it. Like, it's a fun little design. And I'm hoping to get the pattern written up and have it ready for testing sometime in the next couple weeks, I'm hoping. But I've been saying that about the John sock for a while too. I'll get to them, I promise. So there we go, sock number 2. So this will be one of the designs I will be including in my set of sock designs, unisex or masculine sock designs. So there we go, sock number 2 is finished. I'm not going to get started on sock number 3 for a little while yet. I want to wait and get a little bit going with Sock Madness and get the first 2 patterns written up before I start knitting the third sock. And the final thing I've been working on quite a bit fair bit this week. Oh, that's what else I was going to say about the sock design. Where we left off last week, I had finished knitting the leg, had done the heel flap and the heel turn. So I was ready to pick up the gusset stitches. So since last week, I picked up the gusset stitches and finished all the way down the foot. So that was, again, in the past week, I finished the first little mitten, or mitten number 5, and I knit the entire foot on sock design number 2. The other project I spent some time on this past week is Damejakka Loppa. And Damejakka Loppa is a sweater by Pinagiri. I'm using 3 millimeter needles, sorry, no point, just 3 millimeter needles, or US size 2.5. I'm using whole super soft yarn in several colors. The bulk of the body of the sweater is in silver gray and cobalt, or the little blue fleas. I'm also using indigo, robin's egg, pineapple, and breeze are the other colors that are in the yoke, and some of them will make an appearance again once we get to the bottom of the body and the bottom of the sleeves. So in the past week, again, I've done some work on this from where the marker is downwards. So I've added a bit more to the body, not as much as I would have liked to have added, but I've also finished a sock and a mitten. So I did get a lot of other stuff done. So it's coming along really nicely. I still have a long way to go. I think for my size, it's from the armhole down the body should be, before you start the other section of color work and the ribbing, I think it's somewhere between 12 and 14 inches. I don't remember exactly for sure without looking at the pattern right away. And that's way over there. So we have, I never measured this, I'm guessing probably about, what do we have, about 6-7 inches maybe? So I'm maybe getting closer to, I'm probably about roughly halfway done on the body. So my plan for the upcoming week is I will not start another project, except Sock Madness. So I will not start a new design yet. I will hold off on working on the Advent mittens, and what I am going to do is focus all of my energy and spare time for knitting until Sock Madness. I will focus on Damejakka Loppa, and I plan on working on that, all my knitting time between now and, my guess is somewhere between Monday and Wednesday. This week coming up, I will be working on that sweater. So hopefully I will get closer to the end of the body this week or over the next couple weeks. We'll hope, but we shall see. So starting sometime next week, Sock Madness 15. I'm so excited for it to start. There have been 4 warm-up patterns that have come out during the month of February. I did one pair and refrained and showed some restraint and did not do the other ones. Tempted, but didn't do them. The registration for Sock Madness ends tomorrow on Sunday, February 28th. And once registration closes, we're ready to wait to start Sock Madness. It usually starts around the 1st of March, and there's not an exact time. What will happen basically is once the registration closes at the end of the day on the 28th, then the organizers of the competition will be double checking and making sure all the emails, the whole email list is all functional, making sure, they'll basically be making sure they have all their ducks in a row and making sure that we're ready to roll. Then what will happen is sometime on the 1st or a little bit later, There's no set rule exactly when it'll start. They will release, everyone in Sock Madness refers to it that they will drop, the specs will drop. And what that means is that we have a list. If you go to the Sock Madness, I think it's Sock Madness Forever is the name of the group on Ravelry. If you go to that page, the information page, there is a list of all the materials that will be needed for each of the pair of socks throughout Sock Madness. So there's a list going A through whatever that lists the competition socks. We don't know which one, like the materials for pattern A, we don't know which, if that's the qualifying round or if that's the final round. That part, we don't know which materials go with which round of the competition. So they have a list of all the materials. So they will list the recommended needle size, how much yarn we need, whether we need all one color or whether we need 50 grams of one color, 50 grams of another color, whether we need whatever the yarn requirements are. That will be listed. It'll also give us some recommendations, and they might say that occasionally they'll have a pattern where, as they label it as wildly variegated yarns are a good choice. Or it'll say that solids or tonals work best for this particular design. So they sometimes will give us information on that. It'll also give information if there are extras that we need. Like I think one of them says we need a regular straight knitting needle or a bamboo skewer. That one has me very curious. I am so curious about what on earth that'll be for. I'm also afraid that what that means is that you're gonna be putting a whole boatload of stitches aside and we'll be working from top to bottom of the sock. I don't know. It will say you might need to include, several of the patterns this year are incorporating beads. So it'll give information on how many beads are needed for a particular item on the material or sock design on the list. So that information is on one of the group pages on Ravelry for Sock Madness. So what will happen is somewhere around the first, maybe the 2nd or 3rd of March, they will release the list, they will release the information on which materials are needed for the upcoming sock. So they might say hypothetically, the qualifying round will be materials from sock number C or D or A, whichever one it is. So we can go and look at the list and find out, okay, I need 100 grams of tonal or solid colored yarn and I need 500 beads. I hope we don't need 500 beads. I've just made up that number. But it'll have that information. So that gives us time to make sure we have the supplies we need ready. What will happen next is once the material list is released or they drop the specs, anywhere between that point and 48 hours later, the pattern will be released. For the qualifying round, if I'm not mistaken, they will email the pattern out to those who registered. And then the competition is a go. At that point, once the pattern is out, we will have a full 2 weeks to finish knitting that pair of socks to the regulation standard. So however many repeats it might be, specific length, whatever. It'll also have information on specific details that need to be included in our photographs. So once you are finished your pair of socks for the or for the qualifying round or any other round where you are actively competing, you have to send an email to Sock Madness, to the organizers of Sock Madness, and you have to include a link to, with a few other details, but you have to include a link to the Ravelry project page you have. And on the Ravelry project page, you have to include specific photographs that show proof that you knit the sock to the specifications required. Usually it will include things like you need to have a complete picture of both socks from the side with a ruler or a tape measure showing that the foot is regulation length. You might have to show pictures of specific stitch details, different things like that. All that is specified at the beginning of each round. So each individual will have a full 2 weeks to complete knitting the qualifying round. Everyone who's entered has 2 weeks to complete knitting the qualifying round socks and submit their email. So the pattern can be dropping anytime from early in the morning on March the 1st to March the 3rd or 4th. It all depends on a bunch of things. Typically it depends on making sure that the organizers have all their ducks in a row and that they know that all the emails are working properly and all that good stuff. And they also have to make sure that there's moderators for the groups available when the pattern first comes out, and that the designer of that pattern is available to answer any questions during especially the very first part when the pattern comes out. So I'm crossing my fingers that the pattern comes out early in the week, Monday or Tuesday. We shall see. But long story, very long story, nowhere close to short. Between now and when I do my podcast next week, in the beginning of the first Saturday in March, I am planning on working on Damejakka Loppa, and as soon as the Sock Madness qualifying round, once that pattern drops and it comes out, I will be focused only on the Sock Madness qualifying round socks for as many days as it takes me to knit those. It potentially, depending on the pattern, if it's heavy duty color work, it's going to take me a little bit longer. If it's a basic lace or cable pattern, it'll knit up much quicker. So I doubt you'll see a pair of brand new socks by next Saturday, but you never know. If the pattern comes out on Monday afternoon, say, and it's a straightforward pattern, I might be done or close to done by Saturday. The pattern doesn't come out till Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon, I'm not that fast a knitter. It won't be out. It won't be done before then. But stay tuned in a week and we'll see what the pattern looks like and how much I've got done. I'm 99.9% sure I will qualify for, I'll complete the qualifying round pair of socks. Once you get into the faster parts in the subsequent rounds, who knows? All depends on what team I'm on and what the patterns are like as to how far I'll make it. We shall see. So I'm hoping the pattern comes out Monday or Tuesday morning. I have a bunch of grading that I need to get completed over the weekend, and preferably I wouldn't mind getting 100% caught up on my grading by Monday or Tuesday so that I won't feel as guilty if I'm doing some knitting and not grading. So if I get the grading done quicker, it frees up more time for knitting. Yeah. So we shall see. What else is new around here? Also on Wednesday afternoon, I have to go and have some gum surgery done. I'm not excited about that at all. I can't remember what it's called. Gingival flap surgery? Anyway, for those that are squeamish, you might want to leave. I'll try to keep it not too gory, but basically I have a few areas on my gums where I'm starting to develop a bit of bone loss. So what I've had done is I've gone to a periodontist for a few appointments, and they've done the deep cleaning where they freeze you and do the freezing and do a deep cleaning up under the gums. Then the next appointment in the treatment for this gum disease is that they make some incisions in the gum and they move the gum and do some work on the bone underneath. And then they put the gum back in place. So I'm not excited about that at all. It's supposed to be relatively straightforward, quick and easy procedure. They do one side in one appointment, then I'll get the other side, the right hand side I'll get done probably in June or July. And they'll only be doing a few places at the back on the top and maybe one spot on the bottom. I'm not 100% sure exactly, and they don't know 100% sure until they actually double check again once more just how many teeth need to be done. So stay tuned for next week and I'll give you an update on how that went. But I'm suspecting that the appointment's at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. My guess is I'm going to be frozen solid because it's just a local anesthetic. They freeze your gums. If it's anything like when they did the cleaning, I'll be frozen solid from like my ear to my middle of my nose. They really freeze it solid. But the freezing, if the appointment's at 2, the freezing probably won't be out till between 7 and 9 at night. My guess is I'm not going to be in the best of humor Wednesday afternoon and evening when I get home. Probably not. But it'll be over soon enough and I'll recuperate quickly enough. So on the flip side though, I can happily knit while not excited about that. So Sock Madness is coming up. Let's think about that and be excited about that instead. Other news, I am in the process of getting myself a new car. I'm not sure if I talked about that in earlier episodes. My little SUV did not pass inspection a couple weeks ago when we took it in. So I am looking for and have located a new car for myself, a new SUV. So for the last 2 weeks, we've been down to, here we go, first world problems. We've been down to having only one car between the hubby and I. So he's been doing the majority of the driving for the last couple weeks, which has been fun because he doesn't like having me as a passenger seat driver. And I don't like driving his van, so we've been making do. So, but we've got a line on a car now or an SUV now that the purchase is in the works. We're just working out all the details on that now. So since we're not in a huge hurry to sell and the couple that are selling the car are not, it's a private sale. They're not in a huge hurry to get the sale done. It'll probably be a week to 2 weeks before I take possession of the car. So it's just a matter of waiting for the previous owner to get the title and just little details like that. So I will have a new to me car soon, probably within a couple weeks. So I'm excited about that. It's a 2017 Ford Edge. It's the same color as my old car was, so it'll be easy to find it in the parking lot, but it's different, little bit different shape and different model and all that kind of stuff. Same color, same burgundy red color. So I'm excited about that. Be glad to have that and back to having our own cars again. Even though we don't really go anywhere or do anything, it's nice to have our own cars. And otherwise, I don't think there's much else. No, not much else. So I better get going. Get the editing done on here. It's getting closer to time to start getting supper cooking. Well, we're just reheating some leftovers, so that's not a big deal. We went out for supper last night and then had some desserts that looked so good. So once we were finished our meal, we ordered the desserts just to bring home. So those are going to be, we're having the desserts from last night. We're going to eat them tonight. So I got an eclair. It looked so good. It was this big fat eclair. Like I need an eclair like I need a hole in the head, but it was they were huge and they looked so good. And they also had cannolis, which are my husband's probably one of his absolute favorite desserts are cannolis. So we got one eclair and one cannoli that we'll each have for our dessert tonight. So excited for that. Doesn't take much to get me all happy and excited. I'm excited about an eclair for dessert. Simple pleasures in life, I tell you guys. Simple pleasures in life. So I better get going. The hubby will be probably on his way home from work fairly soon, and I'd like to get this edited so I can get it starting to upload before we start getting supper together. So on that note, I shall let you guys go, and I will see you next week. Come back and see how much more progress I made on Damejakka Loppa and see what the qualifying round socks for Sock Madness look like. Alrighty, take care everyone, and I will see you again in a week. Bye now.